And he smiles at that. He enjoys that. How do we tell you accepting someone? How do we tell? 1 Corinthians 12:6 says, God works through, he said, he works through different people in different ways.
Yes.
God works with each other. We can all be in the same room. It's almost like, I had one person once tell me, why did all the disciples see things differently? If you know, there was some in the books that all four wrote the same thing and quoted word for word what Jesus said, but many times they saw it differently. They addressed the situation differently because they were meant to reach a different area differently. You see, God meets us where we are, and so we in turn need to meet people where they're at, right? But we're all different beings, same in the spirit. How do you tell when you have accepted someone? Right? It says, stop insisting that they just be like you. People are not going to be like you. Can you imagine if there were people where everybody was like you? Now, somebody might think that that's cool.
Perfect, right?
You know, way back in the old, how many of you remember the old Twilight Zone series way back in the day?
Yeah.
There was an episode with one person, everybody was him. At the train station, every person, and he had to deal with himself. Oh, he went nuts. I tell you, that thing was ahead of his time. So here we cannot make sure that we have to be acceptance of people, not judging them. So God has made us different kinds of people. Right? The goal of a community is not to be molded into your image. There's only one image you want to be like. God wants us to all be different, but to help people to discover who God made them to be. You're unique. Turn to someone and tell you, you're unique. There are things you are meant to do that no one else can. That's just a fact. There are things that you can do that I can't even come close to doing. Because that's the gift God has given you. We have to, number 2, show attention. This is a hard one. You know, I was taking care of Sir's dog while he's away, and that dog requires so much attention it drives me nuts.
Oh, you should have brought it to me.
I figured, I didn't want it to be alone, so I went to go and prepare the message over there. So I sit, I went over to spend a little time after I walked the dog, and I sat there to prepare the message, but the dog was on my lap, and he wants to be all over, and it's like killing me. But I gave it the attention. I made the effort to do that, to walk it, to stand there and do those things. But the attention part was always hard. But there's a difference. Attention takes more time than acceptance. Why? Remember, the first one is acceptance. Attention takes more time than acceptance.
It's an investment. You have to find out what you like.
You got to give up yourself. Got to give of your time. And so often our time is so, limited. That's our biggest excuse. Right? Our biggest excuse, I just don't have the time. And the Lord saying, well, make the time. That's sacrificial. Investment is sacrificial. You got to give. There's a saying, give to receive. You can't accept somebody and still have very little involvement with them. I accept you, just stay out of my life. That's how familiar.
Wow.
I accept you, just stay out of my life. What kind of acceptance is that? We all sometimes want to give people attention we only care about. People we're only comfortable with. And God's not going to put those people in your life like that all the time. He's going to put the ones that irritate you. And this is how God tests you and I. He puts you to the test. Everything that you're going through right now, He's testing you. Sometimes we don't like the idea, but that's the way it is. So you can't disregard people, folks. Galatians 6:10 says, give special attention to those who are in the family of believers. Special attention. He said, we often emphasize the importance of evangelism. We pay attention to those outside of the family. But the scripture also says, give special attention to those who are believers in the family of God. And the question is, why? We put more emphasis on our family, biologic, but truly he's saying we need to invest more on the ones you're going to spend eternity with. So why is he telling you this? Why is he asking you to spend more time, give more special attention to people who are believers?
So you get to know them.
You get to know them. There's something special about this concept that we have a hard time accepting. We are so comfortable with what we have. And we have the routine set. You can't grow if your routine is set.
Boring.
He is saying there are things he's called us to do. Invest. Whatever you pay attention to is going to grow. Right? Whatever you spend, turn to someone and say that. Whatever you pay attention to whatever you spend attention or give attention to is going to grow. If you pay attention to your garden, it's going to grow. If you're going, it's going to grow. If you pay attention to your kids, they're going to grow. If you pay attention to your marriage, you see, whatever you pay attention to, it will grow. And when I say pay attention to, what are we actually talking about? Investing. See? That's why in the scripture in Proverbs it says, train a child the way he should go. Amen. It doesn't sort of just say, tell them that you've got to be the example. You've got to spend time so they can see you, be a part of their lives. That's how we're going to grow in the kingdom. Whatever you pay attention to, nearly everything you give attention to will grow.
This is true.
Test it. Prove it. Get better, improve, and prosper. If you're going to develop spiritually and you give attention to spiritual development, you're going to what? Grow spiritually. But if you don't give it any time, so if you lack your time of prayer, what is your prayer life going to be like? It's going to be harder to pray. But if you are developing in it, and we're meant to be developing in it more, then you can have a powerful prayer lifestyle. Things happen when you have that kind of things happen in your life. So God pays attention to you. He says even the hair on your head, as I was saying earlier, He knows every hair on your head. He pays attention to every detail of your life. Amen. Nothing you're going through is a surprise to Him because He knows what's going on every minute of your day, every second. Amen. He's involved in your life. The question is, are you aware of it? Ooh. Are you aware that God is involved in your life, in every detail of it? Because if you were to imagine that God's watching you every minute of the day, what would it be like for you? Now, He doesn't do that to make you feel uncomfortable. You know? But He says, even the hairs on your head are numbered. The essence of relationship is how much of ourselves we give to each other. Healthy relationships need affirming, focused attention. They want you. They want your time. They want your attention. Kids, people always want a lot of you. A lot of the folks don't get this. I can't tell you how many folks I talked to that said, I don't understand it. The dysfunction. All right, so let's skip on nothing. If nothing can compensate for time, folks. That I started this process of trying to develop relationships, and most relationships are starving. Most relationships are starving for attention. They usually crave it. So the third was to show affection. Ooh, this is a hard one. Affection. Malachi's here in the house. Yeah, you know about affection. Yeah. We've all read about babies and failure to thrive. Called the failure to thrive syndrome. That means that the little infants, if they're not stroked, I think they were in Germany way back in the day, they did a lot of testing on that. they put a whole bunch of child babies that were born, and they neglected them. They didn't give them any attention. All they were fed. And then they had another bunch of kids that they fed and they nurtured and did that, and then they let them grow up that way. I'll tell you, that's not sick. Because they had a group of babies that grew up with lack of attention and intimacy and affection, and how they turned out compared to the ones that got it, it is true. Very dysfunctional. And that's just what happens when we lack the showing of affection. And so that means that little infants that are not stroked and stuff like that, they're not gonna grow up healthy at all. They don't develop. They don't grow in the way that God intended them to grow. They need development. Now, I wasn't raised with the kind of affection. I wasn't stroked. The only thing I got was fed and clothed. But that's the way, that was the culture I came up with, was raised in. And I didn't know that until I was doing it myself before I knew the Lord. I was doing the same thing, ready to do the same thing for my children. Because it's all I knew. But when I met the Lord, He started to teach me different. It wasn't easy. I had to took a lot of work and effort to sort of break free from that. And sometimes Romans 12:10 tells you, love one another with brotherly affection. So I remember when I first met my in-laws, they were so affectionate. I mean, it drove me nuts. You heard me say this many times. I couldn't stand being around them. It was like, if I knew I was going to go visit them, I told God to prepare myself. I was already, hives were coming out. Because I wasn't used to that. And it was painful. Painful, I tell you. And so, and sometimes when you're going through that, you start to dislike that. And I'm learned many years ago that you have to learn to work through the pain. You have to learn to breathe through pain. I think I was talking to someone earlier about pain, or therapy, I think it was Diane. I tell them, you're going to physical therapy, they tell you to relax your body. That if you tense up, at this point, it's going to be worse and harder. Even when they tell you in an accident, people who are in a car, they're in an accident, those that are sleeping and those that are tense up, the one that are sleeping comes out without a scratch. Right? Because they're not tense. The one that are awake and they get hit in the pan, they tense so much and they get hurt. So tension causes a lot of that. So when I was telling you about feeling the pain, and it's not that they were doing anything bad, I was just used to it. Affection was one of those areas that I had a hard time with. And Dr. Gary Chapman, he writes the 5 languages of love language, and he tells us how to develop in these areas is the words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. Many of us are good in some of these areas, and some of us are not in some of these areas. But so we have to sort of learn. And the other one, the 4th one on this list that we had was to show appreciation. Appreciation means to be raised in value. If you have ever bought a car, what happens as soon as you buy a brand new car and you drive it out of the lot, what's the first thing that happens? It appreciates. Right? Showing appreciations adds value. As believers, we have to add value. How did Aquilus show Apollos value?
Inviting him to the home.
That's right. They made him feel important enough to come to my home, come and stay with us. And so often, it's not something that comes naturally, especially in the way we live in the city that we live in, we grow up with. We grow up with all these defenses, and with God, and I got to agree with you. You got to use some wisdom. You got to make sure it's the Lord when things like this happen. Who you're going to invest in, you got to make sure, but you got to be prepared to accept what God is doing. So you got to understand that when you take a car out of that, it depreciates. You lose value. The moment you drive out of that lot, that car is no longer worth the amount that it was when you first purchased it. But every time you appreciate somebody, you raise their value to you and to others. Everything you appreciate increases in value. So now, here's the question. If you want to appreciate one another, which means what? You're going to value them, right? So to appreciate someone, how do you appreciate someone? And I know that normally our basic concept of appreciation is recognizing, oh, you did a good job for that, and I give you this plaque for doing that. Now, some people, that works for some people, right? You got your award. How did it feel to get your award?
Oh, good.
It's good, right? It makes you feel good to get appreciated. But how do we, in a practical sense, appreciate one another? How do we do that on a regular basis?
Compensate.
What was that?
Compensate.
Compensate? In what way? How do you appreciate? If you turn to a person right next to you and say, I appreciate you, how would you show that person appreciation?
Give him a hug. Compliment.
Okay, give them a hug. All right. See, that's touching. You're touching them in some way, right? What else? What other ways can you appreciate each other?
Give them a gift.
A gift. Okay, you can. Okay. Any other ways? Huh? Spend time with them. Quality time is vital. What else?
You can give them specifics, not just say, I appreciate you, but give them specifics.
That's
and tell them
right.
why.
Maybe meet a need that you see they have.
That's right. All of these things, words of affirmation, gifts, caring, providing needs, all the things that we need to learn to do to appreciate each other. Do not judge each other. Now, one of the dangerous things at this point was, I think I mentioned the message a couple of weeks ago, was that so often when we don't like something about someone, we can actually judge, and then we try to make it up, and it doesn't work that way. Brothers and sisters, appreciate those who work hard amongst you, who led you in the Lord and teach you. Thank the teachers, the ushers, those people, all those people. Thank them. Show them that they have left and did something good and valued and left something behind. Peter. In John chapter 13, Jesus came to Peter and says, Peter, I'm going to wash your feet. How was that appreciation? Not rhetorical. Jesus went to Peter and says, I'm going to wash your feet. How was that appreciation?
He was considered the teacher, the master. And he was going to do something that masters and teachers usually don't do.
Right? Think about the concept. How was that appreciation? That come in, I did something for you, and why was that appreciation? Because back then, when you walk in someone's home, they come out dirty road, dust in all the road, they had sandals, that's what they had back then, and so your feet were really dirty. It was gross, I would say. And so feet are gross like that, to come and say, come here, sit down, I'm gonna, which was it was a servant's job to do that. People were paid to do that. And here comes, he says, I'm gonna wash your feet.
Well, it goes back to the scripture, treat others how you would treat yourself.
Okay. In a way, that's right. Say it again.
Value.
Value. And that's very important. You show value to that person. Because if someone does something to you, and why would you even do that? We don't even know each other that well. But did you go out of your way and do that? It says something.
You care.
You see, didn't deserve it. It has nothing about deserve. Appreciation has nothing to do whether they deserve it or not. That's the problem. You would do it easier if you felt they deserved it. Right? Wouldn't it be easier? And so we are already programmed that we can do things like that only when a person meets my need. And that's the problem. We always want people to meet our own need. Yes?
Unconditional love.
It has to come down to that. But what I'm trying to get you to realize is that so often we won't do it unless we get something in return. Unless it's about us. And if we don't get ourselves out of the way, we won't be able to help each other grow. God is saying, I need you to grow. Yes.
But when we do things for others, we don't realize how much we we get from that,
It's true.
either in learning or in compassion or in humbleness. I mean, we get so much more from giving to others.
And you're absolutely right if the attitude is right. Meaning, if you don't do it for that reason.
Right, right.
You see, sometimes when you're doing this for the right reason, you don't see those results.
Right.
But those are the results of doing it the right way. And so often, we don't even test the ground. We don't put it to work. We don't do it because it still doesn't make sense to us. Why should I do it? And Jesus was trying to teach them, listen, you didn't deserve this. It wasn't a matter of, I'm going to get something in return afterwards. He didn't do that. He was teaching a principle. He was trying to get us to understand that if you go about it, have the right attitude towards it, the benefits are far beyond your expectation. But we have to sort of get to a place of realizing, you know, I'm not judging. And in order for me not to judge, I got to give and not having an expectation to receive. I have to know that, and you got to be sensitive to how the Spirit leads you to do that. Do you understand what I have done for you? He asked them. You call me teacher, Lord, and you are right. And that is what I am. I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet. So you also should wash one another's feet. What is he telling them?
Teach.
But I just like
Value each other.
He's telling you learn to appreciate, value, to put all these things to work. Get yourself out of your comfort and what you already know, because if you don't break out of this thing, this is as far as you go. And we're not meant to be limited. As believers, you're not meant to be limited. What you're capable of doing right now, like Susan just said, once you start to put it to work, you'll see the results. And you want to see God's power in that, you need to sort of put it to work. Yes?
Over the summer, we had a child, Keith. Several of the teachers in the program had a child. And Keith was in several of our classes, and Keith was special. And everybody hated Keith because he caused our evaluations to go down. Because the teachers would come, the coaches would come into class, and Keith wouldn't sit still, and he wouldn't listen to any directions, and he would get up and run around and do whatever he wanted. And so everybody dreaded a day being evaluated on the day when Keith was there. And I remember one of the co-teachers says, I wanted to slap that little boy. And I don't know, I just felt so convicted in my spirit that I needed to love Keith. You know, I understood. I felt the same frustration that everybody else felt, but it was like, you know what? We are all projecting on this little boy that he is just a big royal pain, and he's going to bring our valuations down, and he's out of control. And the Spirit of the Lord just kept convicting me. Why don't you go, you know, affirm Keith and have him? I had a talk with Keith. I said, Keith, I need you to behave today. I'm getting evaluated today, and I want to be a teacher, so I need you to sort of listen to me today. And he said, Miss Glorita, I'm going to be good for you today.
I love it. I love it. That's the way it should be. You see, because a lot of these troubled kids are waiting for you to prove to them that you really care.
Yeah, keep it real.
You see? And that's how people are out there. We do the same thing. We won't do it until we see that they're worth it.
Right.
And that's not what Jesus is saying. He says, do it because you're worth it.
Wow.
See? Don't do it because they're worth it. Do it because he finds you worth it.
Wow.
And if he finds you worth it, then you honor him by making them. Ephesians 3:18-19 says, I pray you'll be able to feel and understand how long, how wide, how deep, how high his love really is, and to experience this love for yourselves. Who do you know that needs God's love in their lives right now like that? And that's what we need to know as we move forward and grow as a community. Pray for each other's spiritual growth. We need to invest in people's growth right now. We need to do this because at this point we can't just keep doing the same old thing. We need to pray for spiritual growth. We need to honor the Lord in there. Romans 15:5 says that this may God develop maturity in you, so that you will be all get along with each other as well as Jesus gets along with us. So notice that the test of maturity is relationship, not knowledge, but relationships. Knowledge is important, but it says that ultimately maturity is the ability to get along with other people. If we live in the light, as it says in 1 John, as He is in the light, then we have fellowship with one another. So let's pray today that we can actually understand what God is asking us to do. So let's bow our heads right now. God, we're going to pray that You help us worship You. Help us to truly grow in Your Word. Help us to serve in Your ministries. Help us to share the good